And let's talk about the coaching grades, Suneil. This is the hot topic. I'm guessing that the comments will be rolling in on the side. But how did you feel about how our head coach performed in this one, Suneil?
Yeah, once again, it's unfortunate that D'Amico Ryans has to be grouped with these other coaches because it's lowering his grade because he is the shining star out of all of these coaches and he gets an A plus, but these other coaches get an F. Kyle Shanahan, the way he utilized Trey and just seemed to not give him any gimmies that he consistently gives to Jimmy, and just have him be out there in power sets where he's empty backfield and just treating him like he's Cam Newton, you know what I mean? Just running into people and one-on-one with linebackers and getting drilled. And it just looked painful for me, like to watch him take the hits that he took. And this is from a running quarterback that does really well sliding because he wasn't taking hits when he was scrambling. It was only on these called runs where there was no room for him to slide because he's hitting these linebackers at the line of scrimmage or just past the line of scrimmage. So I thought that was terrible. The fact that he didn't utilize a running game, which is the strength of our offense, is this running game. All of these linemen that we have on the offensive line are much better run blockers than they are pass protectors. So the fact that we're not utilizing these running backs and utilizing this running game as 60% of our offense, once again, I put that on the coach. And then, okay, you went for it on fourth down. Look, that's a decision that coaches have to make.
Sure.
But the play calling, oh my God, was atrocious. To go for a sneak with juice that you used just the week before that gained you 1 yard, but you do it on a 4th and 2?
Unbelievable.
Like, doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you have a guy that could pick up 3 yards in his sleep in Trey Lance back there. Utilize him, right? And then the play on the goal line, why are you going left to right instead of north to south? You know what I mean? And to me, it's just unfortunate. I don't know if you remember, but I used to, I grew up watching football with running backs like LaDainian Tomlinson and, guys in that realm where at the 1 yard line, you give it to your running back and he dives over the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I don't understand why that play no longer exists. Like why it's all of these weird gimmicky type things where it's just 1 yard. You're at the 1 yard line. Sneak the ball or just give it to your athletic receiver that could just dive over the line of scrimmage and get that touchdown. To me, all of those things lead to Kyle Shanahan and the offensive coordinator, whatever it is, his name is at this point, they get an F. And even though that probably averages out to a C, I'm giving them a D because it wasn't good enough to win this game. And you got to put that on the coaching. It's not like it's all on the players for me in this game.
No, I'm going to take it one step further than you did, Suneil. I agree with you wholeheartedly that D'Amico Ryans earned himself an A+ with the way in which he coached the defense, going up against an Arizona team that is so well balanced, so dynamic, and so able to create these electric plays to keep everything in front of them, to play disciplined, for the defensive line to really contain the quarterback. Amazing. A+ for D'Amico Ryans. On the other side of the ball, with our head coach, Kyle Shanahan, running the offense, everything that I saw was so atrocious and so aggravating to watch, so infuriating as a fan. And yes, I'm allowing my fandom to overcome my pundit status here. I am going headfirst with my 49er fan feeling on this one, and the average for me comes out to an F. I don't know how that works. I don't even think it can, but it is in this scenario. You're getting an A+ averaged out with such a poor grade on offense that it's still less than 60%. So I'm going to give it, maybe 100% for D'Amico, is 0% for Kyle. And so you end up at a 50% average, which is still an F in my book. So coaching, an F. It just, even the miss high, right? This is something that's continually been an issue for Trey. to throw high. And so for that pass over the middle of the field to Travis Benjamin, had that been on the sideline and he sails it, it goes out of bounds. But a play call that directs it to the middle of the field with a safety deep behind it, you have to almost realize that that is a potential for Trey to overthrow it and end up with an interception. To me, it was crazy to draw up all of these quarterback draws that we saw. 12 designed carries for Trey. It sure seemed as if Kyle was determined not to protect his rookie quarterback, to allow him to take as many shots as he did, and to basically not care if he got Lance killed on Sunday. That's the way it felt emotionally as a fan. It seemed as if, and this is not a one-game trend, but it feels like Kyle is playing some combination of tight or desperate, because it goes back to these decisions that you're seeing. The decision to play Travis Benjamin over Brandon Ayuk, just a little bit off. The idea of 12 designed runs for your quarterback and only 10 for your running backs. Again, it just doesn't make sense. And it feels as if Kyle is attempting to do more than he needs to because he's feeling the pressure that this season unraveling in the way that it is now putting on him as the head coach. He seems to be handling it very, very poorly.
James asked earlier, he said, I wonder what Suneil's take is going to be on Shanahan.
Yes, I saw that, and I wanted to know the answer to that. Yeah. I'm going to put it up on the screen as you answer it.
He said, isn't he a Shanistan? And the truth is, James, yes, I was a Shanistan. But what I realized is Shanistandom is a cult, and it isn't true, and we had been hypnotized. I, being one of the loudest Shanistan voices, was hypnotized. And just last week, I wrote an article talking about how Shanahan isn't the genius that we keep hearing that he is. And I'll take it one step further, and I apologize because the sirens are coming in the background.
It's because you're spitting fire.
I'm
you're
hot
spitting
right now.
Fire.
Look, something is going on with Shanahan outside of football. And let me tell you why. And this might be an article that I'm formulating in my mind as we speak.
I love it.
This offseason was a different Shanahan. He was drinking with his former players, throwing footballs into pizza ovens. He was treating the media in a different way than he has in the past. Very nonchalant, very passive aggressive, which is pretty similar to who he is, but like it was even more of like an FU to the media. And now you extend it into the offseason and how he handled the quarterback situation, which
we trade up to 3.
Yeah, all of that was all kind of like was just off. And then you go into just the play calling this whole season, and it's like, what is going on? And I wonder, Rob, if the fact that he hasn't been able to get any of the quarterbacks that he wanted, and maybe Matthew Stafford choosing the Rams over him, I think his ego is hurt. And I think he's grasping at straws, and he's realizing that he could care less about what us fans think. But what if the quarterbacks in the league, what if he is starting to find out that they don't think that he's the guy that he thinks he is? Ooh. What if the league is starting to think behind the scenes, not the people not the journalists, not the fans. I'm talking about the players and the brain trust are starting to doubt his genius. Maybe that's what we're seeing right now. I don't know.
It's fair to wonder. I like AJB coming in with your initial rant. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. Yes, that is how it does feel at this point.
Give the last one he did too. Cabo life. Maybe Cabo is what messed Kyle Shanahan up, because ever since Cabo, we've been seeing this downward spiral of Kyle Shanahan, where Sean McVay, his rival, got the prize that he wanted. And look, Kyle Shanahan doesn't seem like he plays well with when he doesn't get what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you in the idea that we had a certain expectation of Kyle, and that's not being met. I differ from you in that I still do believe, maybe I'm still hoodwinked, maybe I'm still bamboozled.
You are.
But I still believe in the genius that is Kyle's play design. However, I am losing faith in the individual's ability to actually coach. And James here puts in an interesting comment. We don't need a perceived genius. We need common sense coaching. And I do think that that is the area of opportunity for Kyle. I think that he has not improved as a head coach. As a matter of fact, you could probably argue that he has gotten worse. He has been consistently outcoached by his defensive counterpart, whether that was Robert Saleh or now DeMeco Ryans. With Robert Saleh, at least it took a little while for Saleh to come in and outcoach him. DeMeco, right off of the bat, is outcoaching an experienced offensive genius head coach. So to me, with what we saw in 2019 and the offense that they put on the field that year and the way in which Kyle drew up the run plays in particular, that to me is undeniable genius, that there is something special there. So that is what I keep getting caught on when I try to move past Kyle being a great coach. But what I'm realizing is that is the critiques that I've almost always had of him are actually potentially crippling critiques and not just something that, you know, makes him less of a great coach. It could actually be detrimental to his success as a head coach. And that is what seems to be the inability to be a good leader of men, because it doesn't seem as if he takes accountability. It doesn't feel as if he is a servant leader to the rest of his team. It doesn't feel as if he does what he needs to do to build up the players around him to be successful. And then he seems to overthink it. He seems to get too cute in moments where all it takes is good or average play from the offense at best, and this defense could carry us. And yet he seems determined to want to work in these gadget plays that this year are not working. And let's say this, if you don't execute on a couple of gadget plays in one game, you can blame your players for that. If you're consistently missing on these incredible plays that you draw up that need players to hit specific marks at specific points, if they are continually missing those, where's the failure? The failure is of the head coach to properly prepare his players for those goddamn plays. And to me, that's the frustrating part, is not feeling like Kyle is stepping up and saying, you know what, this is an underperformance by this team, and a lot of it starts with me, and I'm going to fix this. I don't get that sense of culpability from Kyle. It seems to be, well, we're missing in these areas. And without saying it, pointing fingers at a lot of the faces in the room that are not named Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan is another version of Jason Garrett with the Dallas Cowboys. All the talent in the world, could never make it and win the Super Bowl with it. And unfortunately, Jed York's relationship with Kyle Shanahan is the same relationship that Jimmy, who's the owner over there in Dallas? I'm sorry,
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones had with Jason Garrett, where they love him like they love each other like a father-son. And that's the reason why Shanahan will still be the coach of the 49ers, even though his performance should be a fireable offense.
That's a really interesting comparison, a comp right there, Suneil, because you're talking about someone who in one aspect of coaching really hung his hat on what he could produce with that offense there in Dallas, but as a head coach couldn't produce. And while Kyle, frustratingly, as an offensive genius, hasn't been able to hang his hat on the offense, has done some good things that he can hang his hat on, but the overall picture is very concerning. And the winning on the field is the underlying issue, because you have the one great season. And to me, that's the only reason that it's not, you know, Kyle on the hot seat at this point, is 2019 was so spectacular that bought him the additional time. It won't be long, though, Suneil, before I am much more in your camp, and I'm ready to start talking about what are our other options. It
It has
needs
to
to
be
get
after this
fixed.
season. It has to be after this season, Rob.
It needs to
Because
get
look,
fixed this year.
Kyle Shanahan hasn't shown in the last 5 years the ability to develop a quarterback. And the only way this 49ers team turns the corner and stops being an average team, because let's be honest, the last 5 years, we are an average to below average team with one spike, right? Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. And that was our broken clock year. Every other year, we are a team that doesn't make the playoffs, that's picking in the top 15 to 16 picks every single year. That is not a good franchise. Those are facts, right? So there's a coaching staff that might be up for grabs that is doing an amazing job with quarterback development in Buffalo, in Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey. And he's not going to be available after this offseason because either Chicago is going to grab him or the 49ers need to be in there trying to grab him. Because if we could get Daboll as the head coach and Ken Dorsey comes in as the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach, what we see with the development of Trey Lance is going to be leaps and bounds over if we continue to just hope that Kyle Shanahan is going to figure it out. Because how many years do you get the chance to figure it out? Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, and 2 years later, he was fired because of the way he handled his quarterback situation. Kyle Shanahan has not won a Super Bowl, and he's still not on the hot seat. Tell me why that makes sense when a Super Bowl winning coach gets fired before a coach that's lost more than he's won. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and I can't make that make sense for you. But what I will say is I think that this season isn't over yet. And if it goes badly enough, as secure as I believe Kyle Shanahan is at this exact moment in time, if this thing goes completely off the rails by the end of this year, I think that there is every chance that Jed does something a bit unexpected and we do see a chance to make a change if things go really badly, because things are setting up in such a way that they could go really badly.